Today we're going to make a little summer top inspired by the brand areyouami. For this project, we're going to need pins, thread, scissors, string, measuring tape, and fabric. For the fabric, I chose a light cotton with a broderie detail. I started by marking out the pattern on my mannequin. The top is going to be 2 pieces in the front, 4 pieces in the back, and 2 sleeves. And the piece in the front is going to have a dart. I'm going to start by draping the front piece. Make sure to pin along where you placed your lines and fold over your dart. I'm then going to cut, leaving 3 cm seam allowance on the bottom of the top and 2 cm in the front, and then 1 cm around all the other edges. And then draping your back piece, you're going to do the same as the front, leaving 1 cm on all your side seams and 3 cm on the bottom. Make sure you're pulling the fabric tight so that it'll lay flat to the body. Don't forget to leave seam allowance in between your 2 back pieces as well. And now you can start pinning your seams together. And then you're going to continue on doing the exact same thing for the second back piece. Making sure your fabric's lying flat, leaving 1 cm seam allowance along the edges and 3 cm at the bottom. Now with half the shirt done, we're going to mirror these pieces. So you're going to unpin your dart and then place these 3 pieces right sides facing together on the rest of your fabric. And then you're going to pin them all down and cut them out. You'll now have 6 pieces of your pattern, and you're ready to start pinning them together. Because of the delicate fabric, I'm going to place wrong sides together when pinning. And I'm going to pin all my sides together except for the shoulders. For this step, you can also do a regular stitch, which means you'd pin right sides together. And then I'm going to sew these 5 seams with the first step of the French seam. So with my needle in the right position, I'm going to sew right along the edge with a straight stitch. Then I'm going to iron my seam open, fold it over, and iron it again. These steps will be skipped if you decided to use a regular seam. And then you're going to go over it again with a straight stitch. As you can see here, the French seam locked in all my raw edges. We're now going to pin and sew our shoulder seams. Again, you can use a French seam, so pinning wrong sides together, or a regular seam, pinning right sides together. And then you're going to sew with a straight stitch, ironing it open and folding it over if you did the French seam, or just ironing it regularly if you did a regular stitch. And then you're going to go over these seams again with a straight stitch. You're now going to hem the front of your shirt by folding it over once, ironing it down, and then folding it over a second time. You're going to do that for both sides and then go over both sides with a straight stitch. If you've been enjoying today's video, please subscribe. Now trying the top on, you're going to repin your darts. And then sew them down. You now have all your bodice seams sewn, your darts sewn down, and your front hemmed. And we're ready to drape the sleeves. So you're just going to pin a new piece onto your fabric around the armhole and roughly cut out a sleeve shape. Because it's just a cap sleeve, we're going to be tucking in the extra and it's not going to go all the way around the armhole. So as you can see here, we're just going to tuck in the extra fabric and we're going to pin that in. All we want to make sure is that we're leaving enough on the bottom to hem the sleeve. With that piece done, we're going to cut out its mirror image, so placing right sides together. I decided to cut a little extra for my hemming. Before attaching our sleeves, we're going to hem the armholes. You can do this by just folding it over and sewing it, but I'm going to show you another technique as well. For this technique, you need a piece of lace or ribbon, and you're going to pin the detailed edge facing inwards. And you're going to pin it all around the armhole, overlapping it slightly at the end. Your first step is going to be sewing along where you placed your pins, and then you're going to fold it over and sew it a second time. You're now ready to sew your second stitch. So again, folding it over, the detailed edge should be poking out and you're going to pin it down. And then sew along where you pinned. And you're going to repeat all those steps for both armholes. Now moving back to the sleeves, we're going to zigzag stitch or serge the curved edge. This is just to prevent fraying. And then we're going to hem the bottom of the sleeve by just folding it over twice. You can give this an iron before you sew. We're now ready to insert the sleeve. So you're going to tuck it under and pin it so it fits nicely, making sure that it's evenly spaced around the shoulder. and then you're going to sew along with the top stitch where you pinned. Finally, we're going to hem the neckline and the bottom of our shirt. So we're going to fold it over twice and pin it down. When doing this, we're creating a channel to insert our string. Then do it to the bottom hem as well. Before we sew these two seams, we're going to iron it down. As you can see, by folding the fabric over twice, we're creating a little channel. Because of the curve and there's less fabric, the neckline's going to be a little trickier to fold over, but you're going to use the same technique. And then you're going to sew the neckline and the hem. When you're sewing, make sure you're leaving enough room to insert your string. I use an old sewing machine needle because it has a blunt edge. I'm going to attach it to the string and then insert it through the channel that we just created. This step can be a little tedious, but just be patient. And then you're going to do the same step for the neckline as well. And you're all done. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked the video, please subscribe.